Welcome to Read It Once Again's Literacy Curriculum Units, Module 4. In this module, you'll be shown examples of how Read It Once Again activities are used in everyday situations in the classroom setting. The next set of slides will focus on some teaching strategies to help make Read It Once Again even more successful for you and your students. When you begin a new storybook unit, we suggest you display pictures of objects or characters from your story. Your children are visual learners, and this is a powerful cue for them to see how they are about to be introduced to new characters. In this case, we are using the example of the story for the Three Little Pigs. Remember that when you introduce a new story, you will also be introducing a new Mother Goose rhyme. We suggest that you display characters from the rhyme just as you've done with the story. You do not need to be an artist to create graphics for your bulletin boards. If you have limited space and need smaller pictures, you can use the graphics found in the last tab, Graphics, Lesson Plans, and Grids. We recommend, when possible, to use larger images. You can enlarge the graphics found in our units by using an opaque projector, overhead projector, and enlarging and then tracing the image from an interactive whiteboard or with a tracer, which is pictured here. This type of tracer can be purchased at most art stores such as Michael's or Hobby Lobby. They use a regular light bulb and are about the size of a large shoebox. They are light and portable, so they can be shared and easily stored. Easel painting plays an important part in the literary curriculum. Planned painting activities with structured goals and objectives are not intended to be used as creative artwork. Unstructured creative artwork should still be encouraged in your classroom. Offer a variety of materials and display artworks for all to enjoy. The type of planned painting activities that will be discussed here is included in the fine gross motor section of every unit with intentional goals and strategies. Gross motor skills must be developed before fine motor skills. William must be able to control a large primary paintbrush before being successful with markers or crayons. Gross motor skills in this situation involve the ability for William to have muscle control from his shoulder, elbow, wrist, and then finally his fingers. We are reading the story Wheels on the Bus. Mary's goal is to identify the objects on a bus. At this point, the only paint color available for Mary is yellow because she is learning to identify the color yellow, and like William, she is still struggling with gross motor skills and her ability to control the paintbrush. As you can see, Joey has improved motor skills, and he has progressed to focusing on using his fine motor skills with his fingers controlling the brush to paint with accuracy. We have additional abstract goals for Joey. He's being asked to paint inside the lines, and he's been instructed to paint the entire pig. Joey will benefit from a finished painted pig as a visual cue to help him understand the concept of inside the lines and the entire pig. Painting activities are not intended to be completed independently. We suggest that a teacher or assistant be available to provide guidance with motor skills, teach abstract concepts, and to reinforce vocabulary. These painting activities are based on the story of Elmer, a patchwork elephant who wanted to look like the rest of the elephants in the jungle. The children have painted animals from the story. Every time they completed a painting, it was grouped and displayed. Some children were learning color identification, some learned animal names, and for others this was the beginning of skills for classification. Every child's name was written in bold black marker, so we could work on name identification as well. Fine motor activities such as pasting and lacing were sent home at the end of each day, but the paintings remained displayed for the entire month. This is an example of a painting activity based on the story of the Three Little Pigs. Notice that we have retraced the lines of the jackets and hats. The next day, the children used their visual discrimination skills to paste the jackets and hats on the pigs. Most of these children were 4 years old and had been in the Read It Once Again program for 2 years. This slide shows the skills of young 3-year-olds who were just learning to master visual discrimination skills. You can see that they are having problems matching the jackets to the outlines of the paintings. This is an indication that some will have difficulty completing simple puzzles. These types of painting activities are perfect opportunities to assess many other foundational skills. This pre-planned painting activity reinforces gross and fine motor skills, object identification, color identification, abstract concepts, vocabulary, red, blue, yellow, pink, pig, sticks, straw, bricks, hat, jacket. This is not a creative art project. Some teachers who have been teaching for many years panic when administrators approach them with implementing a new curriculum. Read It Once Again is very flexible and can be used with an existing curriculum or be easily woven into your everyday schedule. For example, most classrooms provide opportunities for children to experiment with Play-Doh. This experience will not change. You simply add props relating to the story. In this case, our unit was based on the Big Red Barn, and we simply added farm animals, tractors, trailers, and fences as props to reinforce the vocabulary used in our story. Finger painting is another common activity used by preschool teachers. Again, children can paint over objects found in the story, or you can add elements to the finger paint. In our fall story, The Little Old Lady Who Was Not Afraid of Anything, we added pumpkin seeds to the finger paint to create a new texture. Every classroom should have a dramatic play center. Here is the ideal place to add props to encourage children to use receptive and expressive skills to reenact parts of the story. In this slide, Maria is dressed like her favorite character in the story, How Do I Love You? In the story, the little boy wore a yellow raincoat, red rain boots, and carried an umbrella. Those props were added to our dramatic corner. This is also the perfect opportunity to teach dressing skills in a relaxed, fun teaching situation. William was very sensitive to tastes and textures of different foods. In the story The Three Bears, we offered a snack of oatmeal to simulate porridge. Normally, William would have refused to eat the lumpy texture, but because he pretended to be Papa Bear, William was motivated to eat it. Read It Once Again encourages you to look outside your classroom to find ways to make your storybooks come alive. We suggest having other people read the story. It could be a parent, grandparent, district administrator, the school principal, a therapist, custodian, or librarian. Also, if appropriate and related to the story, invite any community helpers to visit and share their skills. Read It Once Again also has another motive for inviting people from the community into your classroom. Many people are unaware of the importance of providing educational services to young children, especially those in your classroom. Some view your job as merely a babysitting service. This is a golden opportunity to educate the public about the intentional teaching of foundational skills that take place in your classroom every day. You can reinforce the importance of early intervention. How do I teach foundational skills using one story throughout the entire day? And how do I make the story last for a whole month? Well, here are some examples and ideas of how you might go about teaching foundational skills in a variety of situations. The next 3 slides are based on one of our favorite stories that are often read during the month of October. It is a great fall unit and is used for all ages of children. If you have not read The Little Old Lady Who Was Not Afraid of Anything, we recommend that you become familiar with this story. This slide is an example of how we used the painting activity with the unit. On the first day we painted the shoes. They went clomp, clomp. Then the second day the pants. They went wiggle, wiggle. Then the third day the shirt. That went shake, shake. And then the gloves. They went clap, clap. Then the hat. That went nod, nod. And last the pumpkin head said boo, boo. We assembled each part as they were painted and created our own scarecrow. This activity covered gross and fine motor painting skills, color identification, clothing associated with body parts, sequencing, and of course, receptive and expressive vocabulary. Carving a pumpkin was a sensory activity that provided an opportunity to address many foundational skills. Can you name some? Here are a couple of hints. Object identification, color identification, using a spoon to scoop out seeds, picking up pumpkin seeds and putting them in a bowl, counting pumpkin seeds, roasting pumpkin seeds, hand washing. Can you add more to this list? Assembling your own life-size scarecrow was another activity to allow us to incorporate many foundational skills. Here are a couple of hints. Identification of different clothing items and objects. color identification of items, crumpling tissue or paper to stuff clothing, assembling items in the correct sequence as it relates to the story, retell the story as clothing items are being assembled, identify character as a scarecrow. What additional foundational skills could you teach from this activity? Let's move on to the story of the Three Little Pigs. In the first couple of days when reading any story, the children are using their receptive skills to gather information. The vocabulary is new and their manila file folders are just being introduced. Their attention span is limited and they may have a difficult time staying focused on the story. Here is where props and visual cues can help children organize their manila folders and strengthen their receptive skills. The prop that you see here is a large pot with a lid. This is the pot that the wolf fell into as he came down the chimney. The little pig placed the lid on the pot, and that was the end of the big bad wolf. We also brought in real straw, sticks, and bricks. Some children had never played with a real brick before. They were used to playing with cardboard versions found in the block corner. Using real bricks, we could teach the difference between light and heavy, or rough and smooth. We put a piece of straw, a small stick, and a brick on the table. Each child had the chance to try and blow the straw, stick, and brick off the table. When they were unable to blow away the brick, they had a concrete understanding of why the wolf could not blow down the brick house. Read It Once Again suggests that you bring in the same props at least once a week to help motivate story time. During other days, place props from the storybook in your block corner or dramatic corner to encourage children to reinforce language and retell the story. You can use your tracer or opaque projector to create character puppets from poster boards. Trace the character, and then cut a hole where the child will put his face, and then 2 smaller holes where they will place their hands. This activity allows every child to participate at their own level. For some nonverbal children, the expectation is to maintain eye contact and remain focused on the story. For some children with limited verbal skills, you will partially read the phrase and allow them to fill in the last words. Other children may be able to recite entire words and phrases. Repeat this type of activity several times throughout the unit, and you will be able to watch your children's expressive language grow. Using puppets is another way to enhance the story. Add puppets to your props in the dramatic corner. Music and rhymes related to the story are included with every unit. This is a great chance to incorporate music into your classroom. Let's take this one step further to demonstrate how you can use this story to teach one specific foundational skill throughout your entire day. Using the unit based on the story The Big Red Barn, we are going to share some examples of how to teach the positional concept of big and little. Children learn naturally through everyday life and play experiences. We can facilitate their learning by staging props and materials to experiment with. This will help them to obtain and reinforce foundational concepts. In your dramatic corner, you can create a big red barn using a large cardboard box. Outside the box, use big and little pots containing big and little flowers. During circle time, use your white storyboard to have your children match big animals to big barns and little animals with little barns. This activity is in every unit and also one of the activities found on our interactive whiteboard CDs that are used with the interactive whiteboards. Point out big and little animals as you read the story. After reading the story, provide a big nest and a little nest along with big and little eggs. Have the children identify if their egg is big or little and put it into the appropriate nest. In the music and rhyme section, you'll find the rhyme Mary Had a Little Lamb. A fun, fine motor activity uses large and small cotton balls, a pair of tongs, glue, and a picture of a big sheep and a little sheep. The child is instructed to use the tongs to pick up the big cotton balls and glue them onto the big sheep, and then to use the tongs to pick up the small cotton balls and glue them to the little sheep. This gross motor activity is the perfect opportunity to invite your physical therapist to join the fun. Collect big and little plastic eggs. Make a nest using a big and little box filled with straw. Before reading the story, hide eggs around the classroom in a variety of locations so that the children will need to search, bend, reach, and crawl to find the eggs. Go on an egg hunt in your classroom after reading the story. Have the children put the big eggs in the big box and the little eggs in the little box. Children may identify color or count number of eggs. Take the concept of big and little outside to the playground to have a cool time with some water activities. Provide 2 tubs, one big and the other little. Place big boats in the big tub and little boats in the little tub. Use a big and little pail of water and have relay races to see if the children can carry them without spilling. Teach the concept of big and little in the block corner. Use blocks to create a farm scene. Hula hoops, big and little, can be used to make corrals or pens for the animals. Big animals go in the big pen, little animals in the little pen. Snack and lunchtime provide lots of motivation for learning. Use cheese as a sample of a dairy product that comes from the cow on the farm. Use big and little plates to hold big and little pieces of cheese. Let the child choose one big piece and one little piece of cheese. Encourage the child to describe each piece as big or little. Daily living hygiene skills can also be used to teach big and little. Provide a big and a little bar of soap and a big and a little towel. After finger painting in the mud, let them choose if they want to wash with the big bar or the little bar of soap. Let them choose if they want to dry with a big towel or a little towel. What other ideas can you think of? Be creative. Read It Once Again allows you the flexible structure to use your own ideas to enhance or adapt activities to meet the individual needs of your students. Well, congratulations! You've completed Read It Once Again's curriculum training, tips and techniques for using Read It Once Again curriculum units in your classroom, Module 4. And you're now ready to advance to Read It Once Again curriculum training Module 5, The Power of Rhyme, Rhythm, and Repetition with Mother Goose. In this module, we will take an in-depth look at the importance of using Mother Goose and other rhymes in your classroom. Rhymes, and especially Mother Goose rhymes, are very powerful language components used in the Read It Once Again curriculum units to initiate and strengthen expressive language. This ends Module 4.